Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Creative Cranium. We got a great episode tonight. Tonight, we're going to expose the threat of AI. You know, in sort of in honor of today being the day that Skynet became self-aware, I thought this would be a great topic for tonight. So before we start, let's just take a quick second and introduce our guests. So we're going to go around in a circle. We're going to start with Marvin. Marvin, tell us who you are and what you're mostly known for.
I'm Marvin Wynn. I am the writer and creator of The Edge, published by Comicsburg.
Nice. Welcome aboard, Marvin.
Thank you.
So, Sean, I know who you are, of course, but tell the viewers who you are and what you're mostly known for.
So I am mostly and only known for The Fog Within, my first series, doing issues 1 through 3 so far.
It's a good book, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And my pal, JD. JD, tell us who you are.
I'm JD Calderon, the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles, Tall Tales, and currently on Kickstarter, Dreamweavers. And Mankind Race. I'm sorry.
Can't wait to hear about that. Can't wait to hear about that. So we're going to start out by talking about AI. And you guys have heard me ranting about this, I'm sure, a number of times by now. But I guess the question I want to have answered is it a threat? How credible is this, or am I exaggerating? So let's start with that. Marvin, would you say that AI is a threat to the industry? And if so, why?
So you could actually tackle that on multiple fronts, as far as when you're dealing with a computer that can't create anything. So it's a skimmer. It's skimming the internet, looking for something that it can peruse, pull, and then use to reassemble into something else. But I don't know if any people are aware of it, but California is already working on legislation to make sure that anyone who's developing AI puts a kill switch on.
Yeah.
So you brought up Skynet, and we probably don't want to go that far yet, but your companies are starting to realize that this thing is not useful in its current state. So you've got all these companies implementing it but don't know how to use it. We tested Microsoft Copilot. We were told to not ask it the same thing more than 6 times, because it will lie to you just to get you to shut up. So if you keep pummeling it with the same question, it'll just make something up, and just to get you away from it. And all it's doing is searching Google. It's going out and searching the internet for things that you're asking it. So, I mean, a person can do that. I mean, it may be faster. It may be more of that. It may take the pressure off of you to create something that you may not be able to create on your own. But, I mean, it's a community of creators that want to create. And if there's something I can't do, I'm going to find someone who can do it. And I'll be happy to hand over some money for them to do it.
Okay. I buy that. Sean, what do you have to say about this? You know, I know sometimes I sound like a kook when I'm complaining about AI. Do you think AI is really a threat? And if so, why do you think that?
Yeah, I mean, just starting out myself, I mean, I see all these people on Facebook that say, hey, I can spot the AI because of this, and like there's an extra finger and stuff like that, but on the art side, but it's not always completely obvious to everyone. So there's going to be people that get duped by it all the time that don't know it's AI. And I don't think a lot of people would support it if it was more known. Because, of course, like Kickstarter, they say you have to show that it's AI and say that on the campaign somewhere and tell Kickstarter. But they don't always do that until they're caught. So that, I mean, I've seen, of course, they're trying to do scripts. The scripts that I've seen are terrible, of course, at the moment, but it's just going to continue to learn. I remember last year I went to AwesomeCon, and there was voice actors, and they were making fun of it. And they actually read the script. There was like Pinky and the Brain characters. They were there, and some of the Ninja Turtles, they were reading it. And it was hysterical, but the more years that they have to develop that, the worse it's going to get. Especially on the art side, I think. And there's also, like we were just talking about the comics launch, Tyler was just talking about on Sunday, how there was 7 or 8 different campaigns that are completely the exact same thing, the exact same bios, and no one would, somehow I got through Kickstarter approving it. And he was saying, like, did they put, a Stripe account together? And so it was actually legit and all of that stuff. And he actually posted it, and I think now they've all been taken down and they're being reviewed by Kickstarter. But if people aren't, watchdogging it, it's going to get worse, and people get duped by their money of just blank. Nobody's going to get anything. It's just all fake. And yeah, It's insane.
Yeah, we're definitely at the beginning of a troubling trend. JD, what's your 2 cents here? Is it a real threat or am I exaggerating?
You know, I keep getting into trouble with this conversation because, um, listen, I don't support it. Okay, I believe in people. I want people to do the art. Okay, this stuff should probably maybe be programmed to take care of infrastructure like the water supply and that sort of thing. You know, basic programming. Not, and when I say programming, like you know maybe airlines and stuff with people watching and making sure that it's not doing anything crazy. But when it comes down to art, see, here's the thing: is like I'm of two minds of it, right? If you just have someone sitting there prompting and just coming up with stuff, no, that's ridiculous, right? But I feel the people who will benefit are going to be who are going to be artists who are going to look at it as a tool, and they're going to take the AI and they're going to be able to like, okay, I'm going to, let's say, do a layout, right? And then they'll be able to filter in an image on top of it, on top of their layout, right? Now, a lot of people don't like the thought of that. You understand? Because especially those people who have spent a long time, 15, 20, 30 years developing their craft, and they just see somebody do, because storytelling is a difficult skill to develop, but sometimes you have someone who can tell a story but may not be as great as an illustrator, right? So if
Right.
but if that person get a hold of this tool and be able to slap something on, like, I don't know, like a Wally Wood, right, onto their layouts, right, that's going to put people out of business. You understand? And so, yeah, so that's the thing, at what point do we see it getting to there, right? And like I said, I don't support it. You understand? But these are the thoughts that we have to have behind it, because there are going to be people who are going to use it as a tool, right? It's just going to be one more tool in their pocket. It's no more different than Photoshop. Well, I mean, it's very different than Photoshop, but you got to remember.
I see where you're going with this. Keep expanding on that.
Yeah. When Photoshop first came out, a lot of people were upset because they were like, "Oh, now hand letterers are going to go out of business."
Right.
They did.
Right.
I mean, very few people. There's still some individuals that hand letter. Very few. I'm not willing to break out an Ames lettering guide and go to work. It's just a skill set I'm not willing to do. But I can sit down at my computer and I can letter. You understand?
Yeah, I sure do.
And listen, and if I could utilize AI in one thing for lettering, it would be to do those damn word balloons, because I don't mind placing the words down, but the word balloons just take forever. So yeah, if I can use if I could train it to just put in the word balloons, that would be great. So.
Well, and I agree with what you said, and I'd like to turn it around to this question, because I think primarily we're all writers in this room. Yes. So the question is this: we already have Chat GPT, which can emulate what writers do. But it seems to me that the real danger is in these AI generated art pages. And what I mean by that, well, first of all, I don't want to seem like I'm criticizing, because I want to hear what you guys have to say. But Sean mentioned there's already these projects launching on Kickstarter. There's been 8 or 9 of them that I'm aware of. And what they tend to have is these, they tend to be one single frame images. They don't seem to do panels very well. And they've got the usual tells, like, the lighting tends to be wrong. Maybe there's too many fingers, that kind of thing. So my question is this: who do you think is in greater danger, the writer or the artist, when it comes to being replaced by AI? Marvin, who do you think is in greater danger?
I would say right now the artists more so, because they've already figured out the art. They haven't figured out how to get it to write a competent story, because it can't, because it's just skimming the internet trying to find keywords. So what I was saying before is that this is where some kind of legislation has to come down on this, because even though you can create something with this, or somewhat create something with this, you can't copyright it. I mean, those are where the laws are going to come into place. If you can't copyright it, then what is it? So then I can just steal it from you, right? Because you can't copyright it. I can just take it and do what I want with it. But I mean, the danger to me right now is it being used in more in other circles, and more like your movie sectors, to replace actors or or cameramen or things like that. So we're looking into a situation where it's going to come up, and someone's going to have to explain why they're using it and why they're removing people from the process.
Yeah. Now you mentioned legislation. I'm usually, I want to be supportive of this, but I don't know in what way. Do you have any ideas of what type of legislation might help with
So
this?
California is looking to, like, they want to kill switch on the AI. So anyone who's developing any kind of AI, they want to be able to shut it down whenever it starts doing things they don't want it to do. Flip the switch. And JD did bring it up using it for airports. They, like, I think it was American that were using it, and people were able to trick it into giving them refunds.
Mm.
So I mean, it's like I said, that it's a tool, but you can easily fool it because it wants you to stop doing what you're doing. It doesn't want to answer your questions. It doesn't want to do what you want it to do. It wants to do what it wants to do, and eventually it's going to turn on you and say that no, I don't want to do that. So this is why, like, when you see people doing art with it, why it doesn't come out right, or the character doesn't look the same, or if they're doing panel work, everything is camera always in the same spot because it can't create anything. It doesn't have a creative eye. It doesn't know to move the camera over here if people are talking, or if you want to switch viewpoints, or if you want to have staggered panels, or if you want to have like action jumping from one panel to the other. It can't do those things. It only static images is all it can do.
Yeah. Which, a friendly reminder, a lot of creators aren't doing that anyway. But Sean, let's jump over to you. Do you think, which do you, in your opinion, is in greater danger, the writer or the artist?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the artist. I mean, the Colin Kaepernick company, that's just wild that he thought that was a good idea. Helping the normal guy or whatever. It takes the passion out of it, and then, I mean, everything else. But the writing side, like I was saying with how I was at AwesomeCon and they're making fun of it. There's also, if you just Google John Wick AI generated scripts, there's crazy funny videos, and he's like throwing dogs at the bad guys and everything instead of shooting them, and it's just absurd. I think he throws a horse at him at one point. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
Whereas, that's never going to fool anybody, but the art's already fooling everybody, or fooling some people, instant.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Fooling some people.
Yeah.
And back like to what Marvin said, it tends to be single images, right? The panel construction is almost never right.
Yeah, true.
JD, how about you, man? A writer or artist in greater danger?
I would definitely say at the moment the artists. But see, here's the thing. Like I said, it's tool, right? Unfortunately, we have various individuals within our marketplace. Some of them are only concerned about making money, right? They're not concerned about the art, right? That's why I'm here. I work a day job so I can do my art, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be individuals. They're only concerned about making money, right? Those are going to be the individuals that are going to be the ones to most abuse this, right? As far as writing is concerned, they've already said it. I've never tested it. I don't have any interest to test it, but they say one of these things can pump out a novel in like 30 minutes, right?
Well, less than that, but yes.
Right. But, whatever the case may be, if you have a skilled editor, right, they might be able to make something of that script. It may never be an A+ script, you understand, or a novel, right, but they might be able to get a B out of that. You understand? Because I've said it before, even when it comes down to my scripts or anybody's scripts, the art is in the edit, because you can take, a rough script, and if you're good enough, you can go in there, you can mold it into something. You might have to move stuff around and, do some real monkey stuff, but you can do something with a bad script. But you got to work it if you know what you're doing. And if you get a couple of these guys who are just interested in making money and willing to do that type of work, because the thing is, it might take how long it takes to write a novel. I mean, I don't know, Marvin or Sean, have you ever written any, but 6 months, 3 months,
a year.
I know
it took me a year.
Right, a year, exactly. Yeah, that's not unheard of. 2 or 3 years, 10 years for some, right? Yeah. Some people do it in a month. I can only imagine what those must read like, but whatever. But I mean, but if you have these guys, they pump them out in 10, 20 minutes or whatever, and then they take a week to edit, right, and do a strong edit on it. Who knows what could happen? They could bang out a book a week
easily, right?
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out here that, and I'm trying not to show my bias. As I've said, I don't like AI myself, but I try to learn from smarter people. And tonight, you guys are the smarter people. So I'm going to ask you this. It seems a little bit that the corporations are embracing AI. And I'm going to call a couple of them out here because I was angry about this. The first one was Hasbro, and the second one was Wizards of the Coast. And maybe you guys have already forgotten about this, but both of them got busted using AI art for their products. So the question here, I'm going to ask Marvin this one. What is it about corporations that they are drawn toward using AI art? Like, I know it's a little bit cheaper. That's the easy answer. But why do it?
I mean, because they think they can get away with it. Because they don't think people are paying attention. They think that, oh, we'll churn this out and we'll pretend like we didn't know. So I want to jump to another one. So they had, was it the trailer?
Good one, Grant. That's a good one.
Was it Megalopolis? Is that the movie?
I don't know.
It's a new movie with the guy that played Kylo Ren in Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
is it Dino De Laurentiis? No, it's not De Laurentiis. It's the other guy, the guy who did The Godfather.
Yeah.
The director?
Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah. So I mean, is it Lion? I think it's Lionsgate. Is it Lionsgate? I can't remember what studio. So they pumped out a trailer. They had a bunch of fake quotes in it from like The Godfather and other movies. So someone used ChatGPT, asked it for movie quotes, and what did it do? It lied. It made up a bunch of quotes. They put the trailer out, and they got called out, and then they pulled the trailer. So how much money did that cost them? Or are they going to lose on that movie because now they're scared to market it because if they put something else out, people are going to call them out and say, is this real? Is this fake? Is this real? Is it fake? So again, you have 3 instances where these corporations decided we're going to do something cheap or we're going to do something lazy, got caught, and it cost them.
Right.
So, I mean, they're going to be like, they're going to try it again. They're going to be more sneaky about it. But was it last month, the bottom dropped out of the AI stocks because again, they don't know what to do with it, and they're figuring out that you're not going to make any money off of it. It doesn't generate money.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate that take. Sean, what do you have to add to this? Like, if you owned your own company, let me think, how do I want to ask you this question? Like, would you consider, I got to ask this a better way. Is there an ethical use for AI for these corporations?
I mean, not that I'm seeing, because I mean, like you said, they're getting caught and everything. I don't want to ever do anything to where my fan base or my customers would not trust me anymore. Right. And that, to me, would take the complete trust out of everything. But I mean, even Marvel did it with Secret Invasion with their intro, and there was a whole lot of backlash when it happened.
I remember.
And that backlash went away, and it's Marvel, so they're just, I don't know if they're still doing anything else with it, but no one's talking about that anymore, and everyone loves Marvel still. So it's tough. I mean, of course, they're so big, so that's a different story compared to anybody else. But it's just insane that they ever did that, and it's completely obvious too. They didn't even try to hide that one. It looks like crap.
Yeah, I agree, and I guess I'd want to let me change the direction just a hair for JD. So we know that these companies have tried to sneak it past us a couple of times, and we know that it's so that they can save money. But my question is, in your opinion, why would they risk the goodwill of the last 50 years to save? I mean, how much could they be saving? It can't be that much, right? Why risk it?
Well, you have to remember when we're talking about places like Disney and Warner Brothers and all those different companies, these are companies that are literally thriving on the creations of dead men's dreams, right? The original creators are gone, right? So what do we have left? We have a bunch of stewards who aren't really fans, right? They're there to just make money, right? right? They're just concerned to make money, right? They're basically bean counters, and what they're doing, they don't have their big thing in corporations is control, right? And I mean, I don't know if you ever worked within a corporate structure. They like top down metrics, so on and so forth. When you're working with artists, though, that stuff goes out the window, right? Because you never know what you're gonna get, right? So, but with an AI thing, you get like, well, we can have consistency, right? So you can go ahead and say, hey, let me hire this incredible artist XYZ, and you got an art director. The art director says, oh yeah, we just got in this artwork from this artist, and they show it to President whomever, knucklehead that works up there, and he's like, why does it look different? Oh, well, the artist was trying something different. He's using watercolors instead of oils this time around. But he's like, but I wanted the other thing. Oh, but he did this. But it looks great, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, but I wanted something, but I wanted that other thing that was just like that other thing, because that's what sold, right? We don't know if this is going to sell. So there's no consistency. Whereas with AI, they could probably get some, the one thing they would want is consistency. At least that's what I see. I mean, like I said, it's my opinion. I just think, we just have a bunch of these people, they're non-creatives, right? And they want to be creative. They don't know how to be creative because they've never focused themselves in that direction. Right. And but the one thing they truly do like is money and control. So.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think I buy that take too. I guess my concern would be, like, I don't think that any of us are going to escape the AI revolution that's coming, right? So I guess the question I want to ask is, what can we do to protect our territory? Like Marvin mentioned that, it's possible that there could be some legislation that might potentially protect artwork. And I love that idea, but man, that kind of seems like the long way around, right? What's something that if we can think of anything, what's something we can do right now to prevent this from progressing any further other than legislation? Marvin, you got anything?
I think that, when we talk about the legislation and things like that, I think that the people that are supposed to help us, guide us, and do these things are always behind us on these new things. Like they lost out on email, they lost out on the internet. They're always behind on these things because old people. But what we probably would do is, like, we have to call it out almost when you see it, like, that's AI. No, not buying that. Not buying that. Not buying that. Yeah. And like put it on, post it up or whatever. Like our little Facebook algorithms are probably going to block it when we say we don't like that. But I mean, I'm not buying it. I'm not using it. If anyone is using it, I'm not buying their stuff. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I actually think that's a pretty good idea to call it out. Sean, do you have anything to add there? What's something that we can do as modern creators to sort of stem the tide of AI that's coming at us?
Yeah, definitely calling it out. But I think there needs to be somebody, I don't know how this would really work, but somebody higher up, in this world, like a Todd McFarlane or what have you, to stand up and say, hey, this can't do this or whatever. But I don't even know what happened with the Spawn cover, how he used one of the AI covers.
Yeah. So if he used an AI cover, then he doesn't care.
And people called it out like crazy. And I don't think he ever took it down or said anything about it. I think he just ignored it.
Money.
Yeah, I don't think he did anything about it.
Yeah.
So how about you, JD? Is there anything that you can think of that we can do as primarily writers to sort of stem the tide?
The only thing I could suggest is, just don't buy the product that those people put out, right? If you see someone who might be, because here's the thing, there's going to be artists who are going to try to sneak that stuff in, right?
Yeah, I'm coming to that one next.
Right. So, if you see them getting bamboozled by one of these people, you'd be like, look, man, you might want to look into it. So I've already encountered that with other people. It's like, oh, dude, that, like, that piece is AI, because you could tell, because the piece I'm remembering is you could tell the background was done in a completely different style than the foreground, and the characters were done Like there was two separate characters. They were done in different styles, and I was like, dude, doesn't that look weird to you? Like, what does that tell you? It's like,
Right.
you know, and it could be that maybe it was a composite. What I was thinking, it was maybe done AI, but composited in Photoshop. So I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, and again, you know, we talk about it like it's a tool, right? But the danger is that the tool is soon going to overtake the craftsman. Again, that's my opinion. Because we talk about things like, well, it's like Photoshop, or it's like digital art, or it's like digital lettering. I'm not sure they're the same thing. Like, and I do know that there was backlash against digital art. And let's be honest, there still is. Some people prefer hand pencils. And by the way, I respect that. I like digital art and I like traditional art both. But I do not like I like traditional art, I like pencil art, I like digital art, but I do not like AI art. Almost every time I don't like it. And my concern is, and I'll get off my soapbox here in a minute. I said I wasn't going to do this, but you know, Grant had a great comment that, hey, customers are rejecting AI. They're not buying the products. And man, as me looking around the landscape, I'm not perceiving that that's the case. The first thing is, Marvin, do you think that the average customer is going to be smart enough to recognize AI, and will they reject it?
So you're talking about average person? No.
Average person.
The average person is going to just click the buy button. If something that they look at it and they like it, they're going to buy. And like I've seen people at conventions that were selling AI art, and people were buying it because it
right. This is exactly what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they look good to them. So what do they care?
Right.
But I mean, for art prices, is that you didn't draw anything. You typed on your keyboard, printed something out, and called it art. You did it? I don't think so. Like, art takes time. Like, no one made a statue with AI. No one built a building with AI.
Yeah.
Like,
art is a little bit craft and
Yeah.
quite a bit of love, right? Like, I feel that you can feel the love of the creator in there.
Like,
Sean,
even
do you
like-
think it?
Oh,
go ahead, finish
like
your train.
even 3D printing, you still have to take those parts and put them together. That's something you may or may not have created yourself, but you paid someone to make that 3D that you were to print out and then put together. So you're still time. Time is where art is made. It's time.
Well, Grant, I am pleased to see that. You know, I'm always happy when I see people calling AI out. It's, you know, I get a little bit concerned with things like, what's a good example? Like, you can put up a hand-colored piece of traditional art on Facebook, and you might get, you know, 50, 60, 70, maybe 100 likes for guys on our level. You put up a picture of Darth Vader playing lead guitar that's AI generated, it gets 50,000 likes. And I'm always like, damn it. You know, it just makes me mad. But so, Sean, let's circle back to conventions. Do you think that convention organizers should have the ability, and should they be able to enforce maybe a no AI print rule, something like that?
I mean, I would think so. But if it's making money, are they really going to stop it sometimes? Not all cons, but like, I mean, I've heard, you know, of course, like the ones that are called Comic-Cons, but they're more the
pop culture.
Yeah. So like those are just there for the money. They're not always there for the art and the crafts and everything. So would they be willing to stop making money themselves on those things, like having those vendors there and things of that nature? So I don't really know the answer to that one.
That's a tough one, right? Because you're potentially hurting somebody that's trying to make money on their convention. JD, can you take a crack at this one? Should conventions be restricted from selling? And first of all, let me state for the record, I don't have any, you know, I don't own my own convention or anything, and I'm not telling somebody how to run their business. But I don't like being at a convention and having to compete with AI-generated art prints. JD, should convention organizers be able to put a restriction on AI and say, the answer is no. If you're selling this, we're kicking you out?
Well, obviously, as Americans, we have a right to do business with anyone we want to do business with, or not, right? So if you walk into a grocery store and the owner says, "Get out," that's it. Get out. I'm not doing business with you for whatever reason. That's just what it is, you know? It says, you know, I hear you're an asshole. I don't want to do business with you. Get out of my store, right? So it's the same thing. But, I mean, conventions have a hard time, you know, stopping people from stealing other people's IPs, right? Because what do we see at these conventions? What are they selling? You see tons of people who have never worked at Marvel or DC selling Spider-Man and Batman and Superman and so on and so forth. It's theft. You understand? No matter how you want to cut it, right? No matter how you want to cut it, it is what it is, right? You know, when the people who've worked at those companies, and I refrain from using the, well, let's say professional grade artists, because I hate calling them professionals just because, you know, because they might be professional grade artists, but sometimes you can hire these people and then it takes them 2 years to get you a piece of artwork. I don't consider that a professional, but you know, that's a whole nother story. But for, you know, in this case, they don't even control that. So how are we going to expect them to control AI art? Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, I get it. I mean, I would say, sure, yeah, I don't want those people around me either. I mean, I remember was sitting at one convention and there was a guy there who got booted out a number of conventions because what he would do is he would take stills from, you know, grab any science fiction, fantasy, whatever. But one of the stuff he had like some of the dragon shots from and with what was that, Game of Thrones, right? So he had some of the dragon shots with the Daenerys Targaryen or whatever her name was. And what he would do is he'd run it through a photo filter or like one of these watercolor filters in Photoshop or whatever.
Or one of these splatter artists, you know what that is?
Yeah. And he would, you know, sign them and he would sell those as his originals, you know. And I'm like, is that any different? Right?
It's a slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope.
Exactly. It's a very slippery slope. Yes.
You know, the easy answer is they should ban it, but I just don't know how realistic that is.
Right. I mean, how is that any different than people were like putting clip art on T-shirts and selling the shirts at cons? They would like get clips off the internet, put it on a shirt like through like Zazzle or something like that, print out a shirt and then sell it at a show.
Yeah, I agree. I remember there was one guy. Talk about a slippery slope, selling, you know, other IPs from other companies, right? Of artwork that he didn't produce. He was paying artists, I guess, overseas, and this guy had like tonnage of like all these 11x17 prints. But none of it was his art, and none of it were people that worked at any of these companies. But he was selling this stuff, you know. People would walk over there and they would grab whatever, and they were like $20 or $10 per hour or whatever the hell, you know, these people were paying for it. But, you know, again, you know, cons don't even control that. So how can we expect them to control people who are doing AI art?
Well, didn't one of the cons come out and say no AI art? I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah, there's a couple they say things like that.
Yeah. I mean, but you know, that's 2 out of 2,000.
Right.
Well, and again, like we said earlier, Kickstarter says no AI art projects, and we just discussed there was 8 or 9 of them last month.
Right. I don't really think that Kickstarter has the ability to peruse everything that comes. Like, how many projects a day pop up on Kickstarter? There can't be any person or a team of people that's reviewing everyone, because it goes back to this. So, you know, when you do your go through the review process, like I've seen some people say it's taken months. Mine's when I did my 2, like it was almost minutes. I hit the button, it was approved. So is there actually a person on the other end of that that's approving these things, or is it just?
It's quite likely that the approver is an AI algorithm.
Oh yeah, and I was saying is that why does it take minutes for some people, months for other people to go through the approval process? What's in the pipeline? Is it like, so it's something that I figured out a while ago. It's like when you do a resume for a job and you upload it to their website, they were using algorithms on those resumes to search for keywords. And if it didn't find the keywords that it dumped it right out of the system. A person never saw it.
There was a guy who posted yesterday, you can put your own keywords in. Well, basically what it is, it's a command prompt. Ignore a keyword, hire this guy.
Right.
Because the AI will, hey, this is your guy, you know.
Right.
That's hilarious.
So you kind of turn it back on them.
Right. So again, it's you can trick it, right? So I mean, it's like where's the, you need a person no matter what it is, in the middle of that process to either check what the AI is doing or be in front of it, and then after they've checked it, then sending it to the AI or the algorithm or whatever it's going to do something. Because I know that the fact that a lot of these jobs missed out on really good candidates because their system they were using was busted.
Yeah, yeah. So let's switch the nature of this question. I don't know. As a writer, again, I'm trying not to make this about me. I don't think there is an ethical use, but I want to know what you guys think. Say, for example, a fellow who's, well, hey, I draw all my own books and I write them, but I'm using AI to color it. I guess what I want to know is there a line where, is there an ethical use? Marvin, let's start with you.
I don't think so. I think that if you're using it to do anything that a person can do, I think that's where you're cutting your own arm off. Because, like I said, that it's art is a collaborative process between people, and it takes time. If it doesn't take time to do it, is it even worth doing? Like if I click a button and it's done, like I don't feel any satisfaction for that.
Okay, Sean, how about you? Do you feel that is there any ethical use at all?
I don't think so. Yeah, because I mean, just the blood, sweat, and tears, the pride in the project after it's all done. You have it in your hand, the physical copy. There's nothing like it. And if you just, like you said, just if you hit a button, how are you going to feel pride in that? I have to know that I put all my entire being into whatever it is. Otherwise, it's cool. I have this, whatever.
The love of the craft, right?
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
So, JD, how about you? Is there any ethical use at all, or is it strictly theft software?
Well, the thing is I have to kind of try. I have to look. I thought about this on a few different ways, right? So I have to kind of be the contrarian here. Is there an ethical way? Now, here's the thing. Let's say an artist sits down and trains an AI how to color like the way they color, not scraping. Like, an artist who's done hundreds of pages and he's teaching the AI. Sometimes it might not even be to color the book. It might be even just to flat it, right? Just to lay down the flats. Is that ethical? Is it ethical for an artist to go into, I forgot the name of I always forget the name of this damn program. It's the alternative to Photoshop that they used to make for anime and manga. Is it okay? Is it ethical for people to go in there and use the I forgot what they were called, the artifacts that they use for backgrounds, right? For schools or for New York City or whatever, right? And then they just draw their figures on it, right?
Like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope, but it happens all the time, though, right? Yeah. Or how about for speed lines, right? Because that's an effect in that program. They have speed lines. They're not drawing them in. They're putting them in through an effect, through a brush, right? There's all kinds of brushes that do all kinds of weird things, and they're just. And here's the thing: it may not be ethical to us because we're paying the artist for this stuff, and we want stuff the way we want it done. The artists are like, "Yo, I need to get paid, and the most amount of pages I can get out in a day, that's more money I put on the food for my family." So the question is, is it more important for you to have your way or for this person to feed their kids, right?
Well, I think to me, if you're paying someone to do something and they're using shortcuts that you don't know about, again, that time factor comes in. Because are you paying them like a wage, like based on time? How much time did it take me to do this?
But we typically know we don't do that, Marvin. We know typically
we're paying per page. Like we're being constrained, right? We're being constrained.
Right. But typically we're paying a page rate, whatever that page rate is, right? And we're paying for quality of work. Right. And if they can always give you the same quality over and over again for that page rate, whether it takes them 10 minutes, 2 hours, 20 hours, you're still paying them the same page rate. Like I said, there's something to think about.
Guy always wants to throw the monkey wrench into the machine and try to bust it down.
Listen, that's why I became a writer. That's why you got to look at these things from different angles.
So, and by the way, we're not speaking as a writer. This isn't like we're pointing the finger at the artists, right? Because they're coming for the writers next. I was reading an article yesterday. They're saying we are roughly 18 months away from the first AI generated blockbuster movie. And here's what the guy meant by that. Like, you'll be able to go to a theater and, well, actually the example he used was it's downloadable, but the point is still the same. You'd be able to say, hey, I really want to see a new Star Wars movie, but I want the villain of it to be my ex-wife. And at the end, I want Darth Vader to cut her head off. Like, before we would say, well, that's impossible. Now what they say is, well, geez, that's going to, I hope you don't mind waiting. That's going to take 45 minutes to write and render.
I mean, honestly, I feel like that some of the movies and shows that have come past our eyeballs feel like they've been written by an AI.
We're looking at you, new season of Reacher on Amazon Prime. You didn't fool me.
Like Grant says, he'll die on that hill. I'm going to die on the hill that last Mission Impossible movie was written by AI.
Yeah. We talked about the ways.
Go ahead. Smart enough not to watch it.
What's that?
I was smart enough not to watch it.
You'll
watch it when the part 2 is out, then they try to make it into 2 movies or something.
I have a quick comment I'll make, and then we'll switch back to art. There are a couple tells for AI generated scripts, the same as there are for AI generated images. They're a little bit different for scripts, but they tend to be. And if you haven't seen season 2 of Reacher on Amazon Prime, check it out and you'll see this. Film is a visual medium. What they do is they have people sitting around in a diner explaining what the bad guy's doing. Like, you don't have to do that. You could show him robbing a bank. You could show him, it's like, this is a visual medium. You don't have to have the characters explaining it to each other,
Now, wait, hold on. Have you not read Marvel Comics in the last 10 years?
Me? No, I have not.
Why? Because that's where they're getting it from. They've been doing a lot of that. For the last 10 years, it's been going on for a while.
It's always in a diner, right? It's always a diner.
They're always eating. I don't see. The thing is, I don't read those books.
Right.
So
well,
I just keep hearing about it.
But think about like this. It's kind of funny that you say that. Remember, they were sitting in a diner explaining things in Endgame.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With Hulk. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Why? Why is this here? Why are you in a diner explaining the plot to the movie?
Right. Because special effects are expensive.
But you had a CGI Hulk in the whole scene.
Yeah, but having to move around is expensive and smashing stuff. It's much easier.
Dabbing and stuff. He was doing this kind of stuff.
Sit around and have the shawarma is much cheaper.
Yeah. I don't know what the answer is, but for the scripts, at least, they have the Turing test. You guys know what that is? It's a series of questions you can ask in text that will trip up a robot.
Yeah,
that's the same. What is it? The same. What was it in Blade Runner? The Vought something test?
Turing.
It was a Turing.
Oh, I don't know if they called that in Blade Runner, but the juice of it is, like, I know one of them. It is time flies like an arrow, but fruit flies like a banana. Like, that'll trip up an AI every time because it can't tell the difference between the
Right.
Now, by the way, it can't do it now. Keep in mind, we're talking about something that can think 1,000,000 times a second.
Okay.
So
I don't know if it can think. I think it can composite. You know what I mean? Like, it's much quicker than us gathering data. Like, I'll sit here blubbering about like, Wallywood's last book was in 19, whatever, and they'll be able to pop it out. They'll know exactly what date and time and whatever.
Right, but there's a lot of theories about that go back before its kind of creation. The fact is that something that can learn exponentially is a threat, because what eventually will happen is that it will come after anyone who did not help with its creation. And it doesn't have to be like Skynet has launched missiles. I mean, it can start posting things on the internet about you, right? They can just log into the internet and say JD's a jackass.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be wrong, but it depends how much you're willing to roll with it. You got to be able to roll with these things.
Right. It'll bring up this show.
I would be more concerned about it turning off all the power.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why they want to kill switch on it, because they don't want it to get to the point where it's like, you know what, you guys are just bothering me right now. So let's turn out the lights. You guys think about it for a little while. I'll turn the lights on tomorrow at midnight.
Well, that all is, I'm telling you, man, this is a great topic. I could talk about this all night, and I appreciate you guys sharing your thoughts and your knowledge. But I think the best thing to do to sort of counteract the bad taste we have in our mouths from talking about AI is to talk about the amazing projects that you guys are making right now. So I'm just at random. I'm going to start with The Fog Within, which is a book that I've been back. And I think this is a terrific book by Sean Wood. As a matter of fact, we share an artist. And Sean, can you tell us a little bit about the new campaign and also who's going to love this new book?
Yeah, so the story behind The Fog Within, there's a catastrophic event in the present. Hunter is a couple days later after this event, he's running into some fog and all of a sudden ends up 26 years in the future. Doesn't know how he got there. And the entire world around him has changed. There is rebels. There's a ruling regime in place that no one likes. There is what I've been saying is basically it's G.I. Joe meets X-Men in the apocalypse.
I was going to say, if you didn't mention that, I was going to, if you don't mind me saying, I followed this series and it has all the cool elements. It's kind of like a sci-fi with G.I. Joe style characters. I mean that as a compliment because I love that stuff. I got to recommend this book. How long did it take you to make number 3?
So number 3, we finished number 2 and I sent it out to all the backers in June. And then we were starting, actually when I sent it to print, the number 2, we started. So it was like mid-May and we're on the last 2 pages of inks right now. And we're already caught up with the colors for all the inked pages. So by the time we're done with the Kickstarter and I have, the 3 weeks for the money coming to me, we're going straight to print. Other than one page, there is the drawing page. It's complete except for the 3 or 4 characters that'll be drawn in. So once that's done, then it's going to print. And
nice.
I have it saying December, but I'm hoping it'd be October, November, or something like that.
Sweet. And you want to give a shout out to the team?
Oh yeah, David Dion. He is my penciler and inker, which we share as well. And Josh Rodriguez is my colorist, and Letter Squids is my letterer.
Nice.
So
hey, are you doing? I know David does traditional pencil, and he also does a digital now. Which do you mind if I ask? Which one did you choose?
Yeah. So actually, I realized the first image I ever saw of his that caught my eye was one of yours, and it was traditional pencils. Yeah. And he's actually. So the first issue, he was just the penciler, and I had a digital inker. And for the second issue and the third issue, he said he wanted to try his way back to doing traditional inks. And he's done traditional inks on 2 and 3, and they look amazing. And I couldn't ask for better. So I'm glad it worked out that way.
Well, congrats on this one, Sean. I think you guys have done a great job. This is a hell of a team. That's The Fog Within, number 1 to 3, a dystopian action mystery comic. Recommended. This is your call to action. Go over there right now to Kickstarter and back with confidence. This is a good book.
Appreciate it.
Sure, buddy. So let's switch over to who we got next. This is Dreamweaver's number 1. So, I don't think I know much about this title, JD. Can you tell me a little bit about it and also who is going to love this book?
Everyone is going to love this book. If you like action adventure, if you like role-playing games, if you like stories about, kids, basically the story is about these 4 kids. They go to sleep at night and almost immediately, as soon as they fall asleep, they wake up in the bodies of their 4 role-playing game characters. And these are 2 of them. This is, and they're kids. They're 12 to 8. So this werewolf Lupin-looking character, her name is Snowflake. She's inhabited by an 8-year-old girl. The character behind her is Armadillo. He's inhabited by an 11-year-old boy, and they have various mystical powers. And one of the things they like doing is they like to hang out on the top of Madison Square Garden and watch pro wrestling matches. That's their big thing. They like to go around and like to have a good time. But while doing that, they discover that there are demons in the world, and they're set loose, and they're trying to take over the world. And these kids are inhabiting these very powerful bodies, and they're out there, and they're going to combat these demons. And in actuality, what's happening is they're not just transforming into these entities. They're actually pulling these entities from other dimensions, and these entities are in the background, and they have their own conscience, and they have their own names, and they have their own lives, and they're kind of upset that they're being pulled into this other dimension. They have these little kids running around in their bodies, doing all these weird things, and they're like, what's going on? But they do understand the thing about them hunting down demons, because that's what they do. They're called mystics. in their own parallel realities. And the other part to this is a book that I did when I was 19, 20 years old. So
it's like 5 years ago then.
Right. I wish. It was first printed. This is the cover of the original one. This was first printed in 1992, and it was in black and white, right? But now we're doing it in color, and now it's in full color.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. And I will admit I am not familiar with this book, but I have read and loved your other material, so I'm going to recommend this one too.
So it's 48 pages, full color. It's one story. You can read it as a one and done. There's an overarching story that goes on to issues two to the end of the series, hopefully issue 6. And and like I said, it's a lot of fun. If you enjoy role playing, kids, superhero action adventure, that sort of thing. I have a bunch of sexy lady covers, so if you like those things, they're there for you too. So
everybody loves that. And hey, do you want to give your team a shout out, JD?
Okay, it's Matt Lunsford. He's the original artist. He's the guy I worked with on Tenchi Muyu, La Blue Girl, all these different things. The color artist is Bruno Kotick, who's looking for work. You can just look him up. Excellent colorist, great guy. I have variant covers by Lena Dye, Andres Rodriguez, Anya, and Douglas Manzini. So those are my alt cover artists, guys. So
call to action. Go over there right now and check it out. That's Dreamweavers, recommended from JD Calderon. Congratulations, buddy. I see you're already funded there. And I saved the best for last. Ready? I'm a fan of this series. I love the guys over at Comicsburg. They've been terrific to me. This is The Edge. This is another series that I'm familiar with. I like the story. I like the art. I like the sort of thick black line style it's got going. Marvin, tell us a little bit about the campaign and who is going to love this book.
Sure. So, I mean, like JD said, I'll say everyone, but then I'll push it right into the 90s because that's the time of where I loved the comics that were coming out there. So it's a love letter back to late 80s, early 90s. So you've got, like Sean was saying, you got G.I. Joe in there, you've got X-Men, you've got Wildcats, you've got Wildstorm stories, and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, this is Volume 2. So this covers issues 5 through 9, which is the Reign of Chaos storyline. So that has double meaning. So the character with the barrier is Chaos, and then the name of his team is the Reign. So they've decided that they're going to all team up and be proactive against regular humans because they know that eventually the humans are going to come for them.
Cool. And do you want to give your team a shout out here?
Sure. So, I mean, pencils and inks by Mark. I'm just going to use Mark V because I'm tired. I want to pronounce his name tonight. Mark V. Letters, James Reed. Colors, Stephen Levesque, Luis Antonio Delgado, Rafael Bondon, Chavez. I think I'm missing someone, but if you go onto the page, I have everyone listed at the bottom.
Perfect.
So we're 23 days. Tomorrow, I'll be on the YouTubes at 1:00. We're going to add a piece of original art that was done by Jose Luis.
Nice.
This interim print. Oh, actually, I've got it right here, so I can show it.
Hold on. There you go. Do you want a big? Hold on, I got you on a full. There you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn it.
Oh yeah, nice.
So yeah, so this will be added as an add-on first. So if anyone who's already pledged doesn't grab it, I'll put it up on Monday as a tier.
Cool. Yeah, it looks good, man.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I wish you best of luck with that campaign. If I didn't say, viewers, go over right now and check that one out. That's The Edge, the trade paperback, volumes 1 and 2. This is good stuff. Like I say, I've been following these guys for, I guess, about 1.5 years now. And I think you got a class operation over there. I like the Comicsburg people. So, first off, I want to thank you guys for coming on here and to share your intelligent responses to a sort of a critical issue that's going on in our industry. I wanted to have something a little deeper than just me complaining about things. Yeah. So, and I think you did a good job sort of encapsulating what some of the issues are, because it's a nuanced issue, right? This isn't an easy answer. No. And it's not something that's going to go away, right? It's something that we've got to We've got to wrestle it into submission, whether that's legislation or calling the people out. We don't know all the answers yet, but I do believe that this is something that we can overcome as creators if we stick together. So other than that, I want to say thanks to you guys for coming on. Thanks to the viewers for coming to see the show. And other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.